Please listen carefully.
All right. Well, we are recording on all platforms, so go ahead if you want to give it a go.
All right. You want to count us down, or you just want to jump
No,
into it?
we're already recording, so I'm not.
Oh, we're already fucked. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so
All right, let me top off. And then we'll
our
go.
YouTube people are going to be like, "Yep, this
What
is
a shit
this is
show."
our people. This is what we're." Because I don't edit our YouTube videos either. I haven't gotten that far and like knowing how to do that. So this is going to be a real gem.
Oh, yeah, I can't even make reels. I don't know. Like I barely know how to do anything.
This is great. I love it.
She sounds good to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Works for me.
She's blue, so if you need it up or down or
Yeah,
whatever, just take
I'm
it.
aware what Bluetooth looks like. We're good.
All right.
We've been recording for a minute, so you should probably start going.
Okay, here we go.
You gonna lead us in?
I will lead us in. Hello, and what is happening, everybody?
Hello.
Here we are, yet again.
We're here.
This is kind of exciting, though.
Yeah, because we have like our first real guest. No offense, Sarah.
Oh, you just threw it out there. I was gonna ease into it.
No, I'm kind of excited because it's our first real guest.
It is.
Sarah, no offense, Sarah. I'm sorry. We love you. We love you a lot,
Well, this
Sarah.
is our first outside guest.
Sarah was like a practice guest.
A practice guest.
She wasn't like a real guest. I mean, you are, Sarah. We love you to death. It's fine.
It's all right. So,
Who are we talking to today?
it is exciting. I'm not gonna lie.
Who is it?
We have with us Jena.
Oh, I'm
and
glad you wrote her name down. Thank you.
She is from Project Canine Hero.
She is.
So we're not going to give you a whole bunch of details. We're kind of going to let her do a lot of the talking herself because we're just going to butcher it anyways.
That's
Let's
because
be
Marcus
honest.
didn't want to do his research and he didn't want to write a lot of stuff down. But that's fine.
It's okay. Right? Because if I do it all, then we don't need to have her on. I could just get on and give a synopsis about her. So
It's whatever.
either way, without further ado,
Here's Jenna.
hi, Jena.
Hi, Jenna.
Hey,
Finally, we're here.
Holy,
Oh, see how spooked he got? What's happening?
Not everyone needs to know all the shitty shit show that happened beforehand, but that's fine.
That's how we
I
start
mean,
out.
it's a learning process.
Oh, it
I don't
is.
even know what I'm doing. So.
But I feel like that's how you and I kind of got to be, I guess, Instagram friends. Is that we?
Yeah, I think we like started our IGs about the same time, and you like reached out to me, and I'm like, who the heck is this person? And you're like, I'm not a troll.
I did. I started the message with like, I'm not a creep. I swear to
This is
God."
real.
Like,
This is really
please
happening.
don't think I'm a creeper. Like, I'm just trying to find guests for a show. It's like, I'm desperate here. But I
Like,
love the dog stuff.
And like, I had like just started, so I had not been on social media in forever, and the only reason that I really started it was because of him, and I really wanted to like share his story and like what they do at Project Canine Hero for these dogs. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to create this dog on Instagram because he has a little bit different story than the rest of the dogs that they take care of. And so yeah, I don't think I'd even been on it like a couple days, and you reached out to me, and I'm like, this is so weird. And now I have almost 1,000 followers.
I know you've been growing. and
Insta famous.
She is like Insta famous, and like we have like
It feels
2.
So weird. I've only had to block like a handful of people, so
That's good. You're off to a good start then.
No,
Well,
but
I'm here for the dogs, so I don't want like any kind of negativity on my page.
right.
And so that's, I mean, like if anybody comes at me with like any kind of like snarky comments or anything, then I just block them because that's, you know, I didn't really want to be on social media to begin with, and luckily, you know, everybody, you know, loves dogs, so
That is
it
true.
makes
It's
it
true.
easy.
Well, who are you? Tell us about you. Tell us about what Project Canine Hero is. Tell
we
us
want to know
who's
about you first. Let's know about you first.
crawling
then we'll
all
get to
over
the
your lap
dogs.
there.
Well, I mean, I'm just a girl that loves dogs. Like I'm not.
Well, you're a vet, right? You were in the Air Force, I believe. I think I saw.
I was in the Air Force. I was a photographer. I was only in for about a year. I actually blew my knee out twice.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
geez.
Yeah, yeah. So they were like, "Well, see ya," and So I was 18 when I went in. I went in right out of high school. My dad was a lifer in the Army, and I mean, he was out long before I ever, came along, but that was just always something. I was very, just patriotic, and, you know, 9/11 happened when I was in high school. And so I just instantly knew, that that's what I wanted my career path to be. Well, other things decided that that's not what my career path was going to be. And I'd always lived on a farm and had cattle and horses and stuff like that. We had some dogs, but they weren't really pets. They were always working dogs and stuff like that. So anyway, when I got out of the Air Force, I'm 19 years old. I'm like, this was supposed to be my career. What am I going to do with my life?
Right.
And I moved to Florida for a little bit, and that's when I became a vet tech.
Okay.
Always loved animals. Didn't have a ton of experience with small animals, but I started working at an emergency animal clinic, and they basically gave you on the spot training, and it was intense.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. So I just kind of took that from there. Moved back to Ohio because I didn't like Florida.
Right.
I don't know what that was about.
I don't know why you would want to come back to Ohio.
Yeah, once you're out, you can't come back. You got to stay gone.
You need to leave forever.
No, I just really liked the area that I was living in down there.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any friends down there or anything like that. We're going to go in goofball mode tonight, I guess.
I love it.
Now that we're rolling, now that we're actually rolling.
I love it.
But yeah, so then I worked at a general practice animal hospital, and then started working at Tractor Supply, and then I got offered a job as a research biologist. So it just kind of continued and went on from there. But I've always loved dogs. I started kind of volunteering with our local PD and SD with their canine units. I had one of the places that I worked sponsored their dogs, so we provided them with their food. Got to know the guys that were coming in for that, and then one of the guys, I was into photography too, 'cause that's what I did in the Air Force. And one of the guys, he's like, well, why don't you come out one day and on a training day and see what we do? And I just instantly fell in love with it. And that's where fall off the couch. And that's where I fell in love with working dogs. But I had healers living on a farm, but I didn't get my first shepherd until I got Blake when I moved down here.
Okay.
So, and then it just
snowballed.
And then it just exploded, and now I have 3.
Yeah. The working dogs, I myself, I guess volunteered. I internship with a canine working group as well when I was, would that have been my senior year of high school? So I dabbled in canine training. I did basic obedience and things like that. I was a paid canine trainer. I don't know how good you could consider me to be, because if you look at our bloodhound, he's not well trained. If you could look at our golden, he is excellently trained, but the bloodhound, not so much.
He's more stubborn than anything. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's just
he's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I swear, I just blame it's the breed. It is the breed that is just
Roomba kills me every time.
I know. I love it. But I volunteered with the canine groups, and it was that was my dream. I told everyone when I was getting into law enforcement, I'm I am going to be a canine handler. I am not a canine handler today. It is not going to happen anytime soon, but it was a dream. I fell in love with it. I always wanted it. And so I think that's how I ended up finding you, is because when I started our page, I was trying to, find law enforcement people and things like that. That's what our podcast we were trying to gear towards. But I was also kind of but I love my canines. I love my canine people. And so then I stumbled across you, and I'm well, here we are today. This is super cool. So, and I think I might have found Project Canine Hero first. His ears perked up as soon as he heard the.
I threw the other dogs out on the back porch.
Okay.
He's distracted enough doing this. So he's here. So
He's amazing. No, but actually, before we get too far, now is he a Dutch Shepherd or is he
Yes.
okay? He's a Dutch Shepherd.
Yep.
So I think
Yep.
a lot of people get confused because they see. Most people think when they think of a canine working dog, they think of a shepherd. They just think of a German shepherd, and that's all. They don't realize there's so many different breeds, that actually
Right.
are working dogs. And when I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, like he's gorgeous. Like he's
And
different.
Germans and Belgians can look a lot alike, and then Belgians and these guys can look a lot alike.
Yes.
But the one thing with Dutchies is they're always brindle.
Okay.
Be the black with gold, or they can be the gold with black, or they can be a bunch of different variations, but they are always brindle. Now he's, not quite as brindle as some others that I've seen, but they are always brindle. Malinois can pretty much be like any color.
Yeah. Alligators.
And, yeah, and that's what London is. So I have a German Shepherd, a Belgian Shepherd, and now a Dutch Shepherd.
Oh my
So
goodness.
Wow.
I got the 3-Shep mafia over here.
You do. Now going back. So you grew up in Ohio, correct? We don't have to go into specifics of where at in Ohio, but you grew up in Ohio now, and you go to Florida after the Air Force, and then you come back to Ohio, but now you're in the Georgia area.
Now I'm in Georgia.
Okay.
Now I'm in Georgia.
How did we get from Ohio to Georgia? How did we escape the second time? How did we get down there?
Okay. Well, the first time when I was getting out of the Air Force, I was like, what the hell do I do? Like, I didn't really have a plan. My dad lives in Florida. So I was like, I guess I'll just go there. I didn't really, like I said, I was 19 years old. My career and my hopes and dreams had just been crushed. I didn't know. I wanted to go to officer training school and make a career out of it and stay in forever. And, like my dad did, but that didn't happen. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I moved to Florida, hated Florida. I only lived down there maybe like 6 or 8 months, and went right back to Ohio. I had some friends there. But I had always wanted to move south. I'd always wanted to live in the South, but maybe not quite Florida. My goals were always to end up in like South Carolina or something like that.
Okay.
And then I eventually just kind of like kept grinding. I ended up with a company that provided me the opportunity to transfer. So I actually have a friend of mine that I grew up with in Ohio, showing horses and all that good stuff, and 4-H and FFA and all that good country Ohio stuff that nobody around here really knows about. But she had ended up down here, over the course of the years, and I came down here for her wedding. I had visited her several times. When she moved back down here, I hauled her horses down here for her. And I just loved this area. And I found out that I was able to transfer with my job, and I was like, see ya. So I finally left.
That's awesome. Now, I have a question for you because I'm really jealous. First off, I'm jealous of your blue hair, because if I could have blue hair, I would have blue hair, because I love colored hair, and I'm not allowed to have it at the department that I'm at.
Like a bazillion colors. This is mild.
I've had bazillion colors prior to being a cop, but as a cop now, I'm not allowed to have them. So I try to sneak I hope my bosses aren't listening to this. I try to sneak it like a little funkiness,
underneath.
When I can,
underneath.
it's an underneath, you can't see it when my hair is up or whatever. Nothing crazy, but I think it's
a girl
crazy.
That was like a hairdresser, but then she was going to school to be a cop, and so she'd always push the limits of what was nasty.
That's me.
So
That's me.
She was going to be like a redhead. She'd be like bright freaking red, or her hair would be like orange or something like that. So she was a hairdresser, but then she was going to be a cop, so she was always pushing the limits as much as she could.
That's me. I'm like, what can I get away with? That's what I'm gonna work at. But I have to ask, do you live on a horse farm, or do you live near horses?
I don't live on a horse. I don't anymore. Not since moving down here.
Okay, because I saw you with horses, and I'm like, if this woman lives on a horse farm, I'm gonna be so jealous, because that's my dream. I want horses.
I do too. In Ohio, I always had horses. And when I moved down here, I brought my old guy down here with me.
Okay.
And I retired him when I moved down here. But he's at a boarding facility that specializes in the care of older senior horses, that just they need extra attention and stuff like that. They do awesome with him. I absolutely love him. And he's only like half an hour away, so I try to go visit him.
Now, you just posted about him, though, right? Just the other day, I think? Okay, he was beautiful. I loved him. I was like, I'm so jealous.
I love my dog. Close your ears, Steve. Like, I love my dog. I love my dog so much. But, I mean, horses will absolutely always be my first love. But, since I don't have him anymore, I guess I had to fill the void with a bunch of dogs. I was tired of cleaning up poop every day.
That's awesome.
Luckily, where I live, I don't ever have to clean up poop. So,
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Because I hate cleaning up poop.
Have him. He's 29 years old, which is very old for a horse. I get asked all the time if I can still ride him. I'm like, no, because he's like an 85-year-old man. But yeah, so he's retired, and I take Blake and London out there quite a bit, but I haven't taken Dean out there yet. So, but awesome. Everything just goes really slow.
That's awesome.
So no, I don't live on a farm anymore.
Well, that's okay though. But you still have a horse, so I'm still jealous. So it's fine. I'm still jealous of the whole thing. But
it's definitely a labor of love.
Yeah, I get it.
It really is.
Yeah, but I'm still jealous. If we could fit one in our yard back here, I would, but it wouldn't happen.
Yeah. No, there's not enough.
When I moved down here and I, had to take him to the boarding facility, and then there was a time where I didn't have my horse on my farm with me, and I didn't have a dog, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I had no idea what to do. It was the first time in my life that I'd never actually had, a horse or something to take care of. Right. So it was very hard to get used to.
I bet.
It was really difficult. But, then I got Blake, and then eventually I got London. And now I have him. Stop.
For anyone that's not watching YouTube, which is most of our people, this dog is pawing at her. Yes. It is so cute.
He's just been staring like, I know you're talking about me. Can you just give me something?
It's awesome. But, okay, so fast forward then. So how did you find Project Canine Hero then?
So I wanted to correct what Marcus said earlier, because he said I'm from Project Canine Hero. And I'm not from Project Canine Hero. That's just where I adopted Dean from.
Okay.
So they are, they're a complete nonprofit organization, and there's tons of them out there. But they just happen to be the ones that I went through. Mm-hmm. But there are a ton of organizations out there, and because I hadn't really been on social media in so long, I never really kept up with that stuff. And then working with the canine guys and stuff like that, and then having my own, I just was always like, man, it would be a dream of mine to have like a retired canine, mm-hmm. a retired working dog, like something like that. I would just absolutely love to have a working dog that I can give a forever home to.
Absolutely.
And excuse me, I came across I'm trying to figure out where to put my drink since Dean's all up in the video. So I happened to be on Instagram. I have a super secret squirrel private Instagram that I use to keep in touch with like family and friends, because I don't have an iPhone. I'm an iPhone.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm one of those. That's why this is extra difficult tonight.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with the iPhone thing. It has probably more to do with us than anything else, so it's fine.
But so I had actually just come across a post, and there was this adorable, ginormous eared little Malinois that was retired Air Force military working dog. Mm-hmm. And I saw this picture of him, and I'm like, oh my God, this dog, like I just saw him, and I started looking into him, and I started looking at the program, and I'm like, holy crap, this program is just absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. ProjectCanineHero.org, if you want to learn more about it, but just absolutely amazing. And so I was like, I got to know more about this dog because I didn't really see anywhere where they had dogs available, you know, where you could like see what dogs and I've since found out that that's not really something they do. But so I filled out the application for him and I was like, man, there's no way, like no way whatsoever. I'm sure hundreds and hundreds of people are filling out these applications because like everybody thinks this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be proactive. A few days later, I sent them an email directly, and I'm super OCD and like anal retentive. So I just sent this like freaking dissertation on like why I should adopt this dog. And like,
Here's my resume.
That's amazing.
Whether you want it or not, here you go.
He, Jason Johnson, the founder of Project Canine Hero, personally emailed me back, and I was like, "Holy crap!" like I had no clue. And he personally emailed me back, and he was like, out of hundreds and hundreds of applicants, he's like, "You're number 2 on the list for this dog."
That's amazing.
He's like, we actually have a home lined up for this dog with someone who has adopted a dog previously. This other dog was in Colorado Springs. So I was going to have to figure out how to get 20 hours out there.
Oh, jeez.
20 hours, which, you know, that wasn't a big deal. That wasn't, you know, what it was about to me.
That's really awesome, though.
But, so he's like, I really think that this home is going to work out for this dog. He's like, but I have another dog. He's like, I think that this dog, might really benefit from you and, would be really good. And he showed me Dean. And Dean was actually, so Dean was with Customs and Border Protection. They do things a little bit differently. We can get into that in a minute. But Dean was facing euthanasia.
Mm-hmm.
He was scheduled to be euthanized because he was showing some aggressive tendencies, some behavioral issues. He had bit 3 people, and he is not an apprehension dog.
Which I just want to pause for people who aren't watching this and can't see on the screen and can't see anything. Dean, the dog, is sitting next to Jena on the couch.
Very weird
wagging
name.
his tail. He is fully
He's
loving on
very
her.
chill. He's
very chill.
The normal house dog.
Oh, he
right?
just looks like your average
he's
dog.
Displayed, yeah.
Because you worked with him, though.
Stuff that I'm still in the process of working on a lot of training and obedience.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot. I know that. Yeah.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
Except he does have his own bedroom and his own crate and a little corner and everything, so he's not on leash in there, and he doesn't have his prong collar on in there.
Right.
But
I'm sorry. So, but going back, so he bit 3 people, and
he bit 3 people. None of them were determined to be his fault. However, CBP, Customs and Border Protection, has an extremely strict 3 strikes and you're out policy. So one time he got his foot stepped on and broke a few toesies.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
I would bite someone.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I'd bite someone.
Yeah, those are your toesies. And then I think maybe one of them was just like an inexperienced handler, and then another one was a kennel technician, which is another thing with CBP. Their dogs live in kennels; they don't go home with them.
That's terrible.
So he wants my beverage.
I hope it's an adult beverage.
Yeah. So, and then the other one was just like an inexperienced kennel tech. They reached in and grabbed him by the collar, and he bit that person. So, unfortunately, he was scheduled to be euthanized, and his former handler was the one that reached out to Jason at Project Canine Hero and was basically like, this dog is about to be euthanized. And so he was not retired due to any kind of medical reasons, any kind of age or anything like that. He was still working. He was still performing his job, but he was showing a lot of aggression and anxiety and behavioral issues. They actually had him on Prozac and CBD.
Oh my gosh.
Because Yeah, so for those of you that can see, this dog was on Prozac.
Yeah,
He does not need
exactly.
Prozac.
Yes.
Like, he's
Yeah.
good.
He gets a little goofy, but I mean he's a working dog in a new
Right.
environment. And I haven't even had him, I don't think I've had him 2 full months. So he's still learning so much.
Yeah.
So Customs and Border Protection, so getting back to that, at least in like this department, I could be completely wrong with other departments. So I don't want to speak ill or anything. That's not the point of it. But they are trained to do a job, and that's it. So his job was detection. He detected for narcotics, and then also human detection for like human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
So that was literally all he did. They work on detection with like I said, he was a detection dog. So they work on detection. He stays on a leash when he is outside doing his job, or he stays in his handler's truck, or he stays in a crate or in a kennel. So he goes out and works. Yeah, this is a
He's
Prozac
so
dog.
cute.
This is a Prozac dog. So yeah, so he pretty much had he's almost 8 years old. He'll be 8 towards the end of November, and he's had pretty much no obedience whatsoever. He knows how to sit down, but he didn't really know how to walk properly on a leash. He was just kind of always doing a job, kind of dragging you everywhere you went.
Really?
He knew how to chase a ball, that was pretty much it. So they, would get him out and exercising. But that was about it. So they don't really do a whole lot else, which is literally everything we're working on.
Was he with the same handler at the same time, or do they have pool dogs where you just kind of go in at the beginning of your shift, grab a dog and go? Because I've heard can be kind of a thing where you walk into a kennel, grab a dog, and there's no rapport, there's no relationship with that dog that you have.
So I'm pretty sure that he was with a handler in El Paso before he ended up in Seattle. And I think that he ended up with his handler in Seattle because of the issues he was having.
Oh, okay.
And then he got that second or third bite, and it was over.
Yeah.
There was no, no matter what, there was no continuing the job.
What's crazy to me is the fact that, and I'm not trying to again speak ill, just as you weren't on Customs and Border Patrol, that they're not.
Yeah, if there's somebody with CBP that's a canine handler that can speak better.
Yeah, no, and I'm not trying to speak ill on them,
absolutely.
but if they're not doing, and maybe whatever the situation was, but if they're not doing basic obedience and they're simply just training, the narcotics detection and the human detection and things like that, and you're kind of skipping that basic obedience. I mean, you're working with animals. I used to work with animals. Right. As well as I do, that basic obedience is the core and the heart of anything else that you're going to do with that dog. And usually that basic obedience is going to not necessarily prevent bad behavior, but it's going to possibly mitigate some other future issues from happening, especially because if that dog, I mean, I know the Golden that we have, he was my, we called him my demo dog when I was a dog trainer, but I used him to train kids and adults when I was training their dogs. So, he used to be perfect. He is a spoiled brat now. He doesn't like to listen. He doesn't care. But he used to be perfect. You tell, and he's trained in German. And the only reason I did that is because when I was training regular people coming, to our training facility, they're training him in English. And every time I would give them a command of sitting down, he would listen. So I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. So we got to use a different language. So let's use German so that he's not getting confused. Every time I give a command to another dog, I can give him separate commands, and it worked out fine. But anyways, with him, now he's down here over here. He's having dreams over in our room. So I'm sure people can hear this recording now. But it prevented so many future issues from happening. Mm-hmm. Had I done what I did with our Golden, whose name is Toby, with the Bloodhound Abel, had I guess, done the basic obedience with him as hardcore as I had done with Toby, I think we could have mitigated some of the issues that we have with him now.
Well, let me ask you, though. to both of you, having a little bit of experience with training animals, even outside of like the basic obedience, does it benefit a dog to still have, I guess, like a normal interaction with humans and things of that nature versus being just a tool, just having just a job? Does that benefit the dog? Does it hurt the dog?
I'll let you go first.
I think it absolutely benefits the dog. Because not only does it benefit the dog, it actually, I mean, it's going to make your job a lot easier too. But like I said, I can't speak for the way that CBP does things. So, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I don't think it's any handler's choice to not train their dog.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what the process is for, or what the rules are for, these CBP dogs specifically, because, with pretty much any other department, military working dogs and stuff like that, I mean, obedience is paramount.
Yeah.
It really is. And I absolutely think it can solve issues like the ones that he had with the aggression and the behavioral issues. And I am very strict with my dogs. This is actually me being very lenient with him because I want him to be on the video for you guys.
Right.
But I'm very strict with my dogs, and I have an extremely rigid routine with them. And it helps me.
He's going to town.
He is kind of Velcro-y. Like, my other two are not whatsoever. Like, my other two are not cuddlers. They do not want to be, like, messed with and stuff like that, which is why I think it's, like, so crazy that he was having all these issues. Because they were like, oh, he can't be groomed without a muzzle. You can't touch his flanks. You can't do this. You can't do that. And so, like, pretty much day one from when he came home, I just started, like, I want to use the word beating, but not like not like in a bad way.
Right.
I was just like kind of like smacking all over him and like desensitizing him to shit
absolutely.
like that, and getting him out of his crate, getting him out of his kennel and stuff like that, and doing stuff like grabbing him by the collar. Like if I need to grab him by the collar, I need to grab him by the collar.
Right.
Or I need to be able to correct him or handle him, and stuff like that. So, but yes, Marcus, I believe in obedience with everything. I used to have horses and train horses too. They're 1,200-pound animals. You can't let them, be assholes.
Right. But do you feel like because like I think a lot of times in law enforcement, these canine guys, their dog is everything. It comes home with them. It's part of the family. It goes to work with them, home with them. Do you think that's an important part for that dog to have versus being just that tool? Do you think that helps the dog
absolutely.
being a part of? Obviously, I feel like it's going to help build a bond, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
once an animal, dog, cat, I mean, horse, whatever it may be, I feel like once they have that bond, it's going to have that better
Yeah.
working relationship.
It absolutely builds a bond, and a couple like right off the bat that I can think of. Down here, we have Canine Mattis. He's all over Instagram. Mark and Mattis, totally Instagram famous. And he literally jumped off a cliff for his handler.
Yeah.
I mean, literally jumped off a cliff for his handler, dropped like 40 feet to catch the bad guy. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with Canine Jethro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and just what was it? Just in Kenosha, a canine took a bullet to the head.
Mhm.
Yes.
So these specific canines, like what Dean was doing, they're not apprehension. They're not put in that situation. But I absolutely do believe that obedience creates bonding. I mean, you see how this dog is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are watching how he is, and he bonded to me very quickly. Because from day one, I, basically showed him that I was the pack leader, and what I say goes. And when they just live in a kennel and they live in a crate and they just get out to do their jobs, then they don't really know that.
Well, it's
So
that too.
I personally think that's a disadvantage. I absolutely think it's a disadvantage.
Absolutely. And you know, like when the guy that taught me, who mentored me for my dog training, short-lived years, and then who I also did the canine training with, it was the same person. So he kind of mentored me in both things. And his premise of training was, when you train a dog, you're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And so you kind of want to be those polar opposites with a dog. And that is something that I firmly believe in because, you know, we joke about our dogs and how bad they are. And Abel, the bloodhound, he has his own issues. But, you know, I've had troubles with him because I think I got in over my head with the breed, and I thought I did my research on the breed, but I don't think I did the research I needed to do with the breed. And they're really sensitive. And I don't want to say I'm like a Hitler when it comes to training, or like I don't beat my dogs. I'm not a I don't have a heavy hand. Like I'm not hitting my dogs, but I have a very strong way that I train my dogs. That dog cannot handle anything strong. If you raise your voice even the slightest, he cowers in the corner and he hides.
Well,
and it's like,
yeah, that's totally how my Malinois London is.
Yeah.
The all black one, for anybody that's ever, you know, watched us, the one that looks a lot like Dean. She's my Malinois, and but part of her deal is she was very severely abused. All right, so you're gonna get the backside of him next.
That's okay. He's
I'm
so
done.
cute. It's fine.
So we'll try to keep him in the video a little bit, but now I can relax a little bit more. Yeah, I'm very stern with my dogs too. I, you know, on occasion, especially with Blake, because he is just my big, lovable, doofy teddy bear. You know, I'll be like, Blake, go lay down. And then he'll like lay down for 2 seconds, and he might get up and I'll be like, Blake, go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. All right, whatever. I don't care anymore.
Right.
So yeah, like I totally get that. But London, I definitely, there are definitely times that I have to be a lot more stern with her, but a gentle tone that comes across much easier for her.
Right.
So yeah, I totally get it. But you know, these working dogs, especially, they're not meant to be handled with kid gloves.
No, definitely. And I think that's my point is like different breeds have different tolerances and they have different purposes. They were literally bred to do different things. You know, a golden was bred for a certain thing. A bloodhound was bred for a specific thing. A Dutch shepherd, a German shepherd, a Malinois. I mean, they were all bred for specific jobs. They're all considered working dogs. I don't think a golden's considered a working dog, but
not
whatever
this
it
one,
is. Definitely not this one.
So.
But they all have their jobs to do, and I really do think though that dogs are not stupid, and just as much as they have a job to do, some of them are dumb. Little dogs. I'm not a huge fan of little dogs, except Frenchies. I have a soft spot for Frenchies. I love Frenchies. But
I'm not either, unless it's a well-behaved dog.
Yeah, that's fine if it's well behaved.
You find me a little dog, a little purse dog, a little yapper that's a well-behaved dog.
Few and far between.
That makes all the difference.
Few and far between.
I run into all the time, and I run in with these guys that I'll literally be out 3 wide, and I get little dogs trying to attack us all the time. When my dogs are totally ignoring them because they're small, nobody takes the time to train them.
Yep.
Nobody takes the time to train their small dogs.
No.
And it's horrible. And like, you know, it's like Goldens too. I love Goldens. They are the sweetest dogs, but because they are big and sweet and lovable and doofy, nobody takes the time to train them.
Yeah.
So
they don't. But I think all dogs deserve love, especially a working dog and a dog that has a job to do. So when you get these canine dogs, whether it's federal, you know, dogs, whether it's local police department, sheriff's dogs, whatever it is, I think you need to be hardcore when it comes to their training, hardcore when it comes to their work. And that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing, going back to it, where you need to be that black and white of, we have a job to do, but at the same time, when we come home, especially if it's a dog that can come home with its handler and it isn't locked in a cage all day long or whatever the case is, you show them love and you show them that opposite of, hey, we have a job to do and we can go out and we can go do this stuff and we can focus and do what we have to do, and I'm going to discipline you when it's necessary. But we can also come home, we can lay on the couch just like Dean is doing right now. And we can have love and we can have affection and we can show that and not be on 100% of the time, because I think that sets up dogs for failure, because it's just, you're constantly, it's like a human. It's expecting you to be on your game 100% of the time, all day,
You
every day.
absolutely have to be able to turn dogs off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially these working dogs, because they will go all the time
Yeah.
until you tell them not to.
Yeah.
And I'm actually super strict, and I don't let my dogs on the couch. And the only reason he's on the couch is like, this is where we're recording. So like,
we're the cause of the bad behavior.
Like,
Imagine that.
Like,
we always cause bad behavior.
how long had he been retired until you got him?
So I picked him up on Labor Day.
Okay.
And his handler had driven him from Seattle to Chattanooga, like just around Chattanooga, Tennessee, 3 weeks prior.
Oh,
my
wow.
gosh. So can you explain
He pretty much pulled right out of the field, and then he was kind of being held over at the rehabilitation facility at Project Canine Hero. And Jason, who has been a working dog handler his whole life, and a military veteran and everything, he knew this dog needed to get into a home, because he was still experiencing all these anxiety, issues with him. He wasn't seeing as many of the behavioral issues, but the one thing is, they don't when they have dogs like this that they have to take in, they don't train them, because they want them to go home. They want them to go into a home, and they will also only adopt these dogs out to knowledgeable owners, hence the application process. So they'll only adopt these dogs out to the right people, but they take care of the dogs 100%, medically, all that. Dean's food and his medical expenses are covered for the rest of his life.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
His end of life services will be covered. And if anything happens at all, it will be covered at 100%.
Is it a diminishing skill for dogs, or could you take him out right now and you think he would pick up and keep working? Or is it, you really have to maintain that training aspect of it?
So I think he absolutely would keep working. And I have toyed with the idea. I've kind of gone back and forth on getting with my local canine unit on, once I get him more solid on the obedience and the home and everything. I have really gone back and forth with, do I want to continue his work? Because like I said previously, he was not retired due to any kind of medical issue.
Right.
He can still do a job. That being said, I'm working very hard to take him in a different direction and work on that obedience, and work on just being in the house and being this dog. Like, I want
the couch potato.
Right,
yes,
that has now fallen asleep on me while we're here blabbing.
Right.
This is the way I want things to go. I want to take him out in public. That is the one excellent thing about him, is that I knew what his issues were going into this. So I was able to work on that from the very beginning. But a couple of things that are really excellent about him is I did not have to crate train him. He is wonderful in a crate. He goes right in it, loves it, sleeps there. My other one, I have major issues with her in the crate still, almost 2 years later. That's a whole nother story. She's a hot mess. She's a hot mess, but she has become the sweetest dog. But he's been amazing in a crate. And when we go out in public, or when I'm working on interacting with the other dogs, like my followers and stuff have seen on our page, like you guys have seen, he is trained to ignore all of that. They don't, when he's out there searching and stuff like that, they don't want him walking up to people. They don't want him interacting with other dogs and stuff like that. So that's another thing that has really, really worked to my advantage with him, is when I go out in public, he doesn't try to get attention. He doesn't search for affection. So that makes it so much easier. Blake, oh my God, he makes it so hard on me. He's so sweet. He's so sweet and big and lovable. He grew up in a house with 4 kids under 5, and I got him when he was 5 years old. And I mean, like, he's so sweet, so lovable. He loves everybody. He doesn't know a stranger, but he's 95 pounds. So, like, you know, people don't want this giant bear in their crotch. You know?
Right.
And I try so hard with him, but he's just, you know, like I said, he's just so sweet. But that has definitely worked to my advantage with him, is that he doesn't try to bother people, and it's definitely worked to my advantage with training him around the other dogs. Because I've worked so hard at training my other 2 that now I'm able to start bringing him into the pack a little bit more, as everybody's seen over like the last week or so on our page. I can walk him with the other dogs, and you know, I can, if they want to get too close to them, I can give them a quick nope. And then I keep them off leash most of the time while we're, you know, here at the house, always on leash in public, of course. But we can go walk the driveway, or, you know, go play out in the field or whatever. And if they get a little bit too close, I can just be like, nope, just like that. I don't have to raise my voice. I can just say, nope. They totally say, you know, go away from him. They ignore him. He does not pay attention to them. He doesn't try to sniff them, but dogs don't have to be sniffing. They don't have to be sniffing and touching each other to know that they're there, to be interacting. Dogs have like 400,000 scent receptors,
Right.
you know, just in their nose alone. So from the second I brought him home, they knew each other was here. So, you know,
Right.
people think dogs have to be playing, and they have to be, you know, actually touching each other and being interactive and sniffing each other to exist together. And that's totally not true. Will we eventually get there? Yes. But Dean has never been around other dogs. He's never, you know, aside from working, he's never been around other people. He has never been in a house. He's never slept on a couch before,
Right.
you know? So I'm going extremely slow with him. I mean, like snail pace, because I don't want to find out if he's dog aggressive. I don't want to find out if he's, you know, aggressive, you know, well, we've already kind of found out that he's aggressive towards people, you know, but that was all unwarranted. I don't want to find out,
Right.
you know, the other way. So we're just going slow. We're going so slow. And I haven't even had him 2 full months.
So
Wow.
so I think that's what I was gonna say, is that you haven't had him that long, but it's still been about 2 months ish, and he's made, from what I've seen, because Marcus has zero involvement with the Instagram page, so at least from what I've
I
seen,
hate social media.
I have seen such a progression, you know, in just like
Oh, absolutely.
every time
I'm
I
thrilled.
check in, I'm like, oh my gosh, like look at what he's doing. And I think from my dog experience, like watching him, I see and I understand like the changes and like the little milestones that you're doing with him. And I think that's amazing. And so like when you tell me like you're contemplating like maybe the bringing him in with the canine group, and I think that maybe would be a cool thing. But then I also think like maybe that isn't a good thing, because I look at this dog now and I'm thinking, what if this is like the best thing for him? That maybe it's like, to him, who knows like what other negative experiences he had with this training that like maybe we don't know about or whatever it is. And it's like,
absolutely. I mean,
this-
he's almost 6 years old, and I've had him for 2 months. So
Right.
there's so much I don't know.
yeah, who knows what negative experiences he had that, you know, aren't necessarily associated with that narcotics training and human detection training, but that he associates with that training. And look at this dog. Like, I'm looking at this dog
He's
now
a
going,
potato.
he's
Look at-
doing
he's
doing none of those things. And when you're telling me
I
that,
know.
you know, he had all these other issues, and looking at this dog now 2 months later, being in a house, I know he's on a lead, and I know he, you know, you have all the other things that you do with him, but being in a house with you sitting on a couch with 2 other dogs, to me, it's like this dog wants nothing to do with the life that he had before. Like, the life he has now is amazing, you know, like he is living the dog's life. Like, he is like, this is perfect. But he also has structure, and he has love, he has structure, and he still can be a working dog in that sense that you're gonna still do things with him. It's not like you're gonna leave him to just be this nothing, you know. Like, you still give him a purpose, you know. Like, that's just my opinion. Is like, I look at this dog and I'm like, this is incredible. You're telling me you had this hard dog to deal with, quote unquote. Like, people wouldn't necessarily want him. Most people look at him and not want to adopt him because they'd be like, oh, he bit 3 people or whatever. Now, I would convince Marcus to adopt him because I'd be like, we need this dog. But I've already told Marcus, I'm like, we're getting a canine from Project Canine Hero one day. Now we can't do it while we have Toby and Abel and we have like 2 cats and whatever. So like we probably got to get rid of some animals. And I've seen like some of the qualifications, like they can't have certain things in the house. So I'm like, down the road, we're getting a dog from Project Canine Hero.
Where did he come from originally? Do you know like his past or his breeder or?
Like, is he from?
I don't know his breeder.
Okay.
I don't know his breeder. I don't know how he was bred. I don't know where he was bred. I don't know.
They probably have a contract somewhere. I would imagine that they just get
I don't know if it was stateside. I don't know if it was, a lot of them, ship dogs in from overseas.
Right.
So I don't know if that was the case. But I know that he was in El Paso. I think he was there for maybe like 5 years. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then he was in Seattle.
Okay.
And his handler in Seattle was the one that brought him to Project Canine Hero. Okay. So between Jason at Project Canine Hero and between his, former handler, they saved his life.
I'm going to need Jason's email just so I can reach out to him later.
ProjectCanineHero.org.
Now,
so then basically, like, what would have happened if, Dean wouldn't have been able to been rehomed, or, God forbid if something ever happens down the road, he goes back to Project Canine Hero. If something ever happens. But if he wouldn't have been able to have been adopted out, he would have stayed there and, lived his days at Project Canine Hero and still been cared for, still been, food, vet bills, all that stuff. He still would have been cared for the rest of his life.
So adopting out is an option for them, but if they can't be adoption, they're still giving them
a life,
quality of life, outside of what they were, I guess, bred to do. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
So going back though, so you apply. I know that you gave us a quick story of how you saw Dean. You applied for a different dog, and he found you.
Yeah, I saw a different dog, and I applied for that other dog, and then Jason matched me up with Dean.
So can you explain for our listeners, because I'm hoping we can maybe like get someone to maybe be excited about this and reach out and maybe want to adopt one of these dogs, what that process is like, and what that process was for you. We know where you're at today with Dean, but like going up into actually adopting Dean and getting him into your home, like what was that like for you?
I mean, honestly, it was a fairly easy process for me. I don't want to
Well, you've already been through it, correct? Because you had already done with the other dogs. So
no, my other dogs were rehomes, but they were not from Project Canine Hero.
Okay. So that was my mistake then. I thought they were through Project Canine Hero. So
no. I just met Jason and the crew and everybody when I went to adopt.
Okay.
So like I said, I basically just saw. I happened to come across this other dog who has been adopted out, and he's in a wonderful home with I believe she's a doctor, and she has horses. We're like kindred spirits. We're like basically, and we're like, so I think she has another shepherd, and she had adopted a dog from Project Canine Hero before that I believe passed away, and then she found this one. Most of the dogs that end up in Project Canine Hero are. So there's all kinds of different things that Project Canine Hero does. Sometimes Project Canine Hero, they provide medical care for the dogs. So say there is maybe like a police department or something like that needs some help with medical bills or something. I have a dog on the back porch. Mischievous. So sometimes they need to help with medical bills, and stuff like that. Or sometimes the handler does, again, get to keep the dog, but then needs help with some medical bills or something like that happens. And then a lot of times they just take dogs in that maybe these dogs are retired due to medical issues. So that's what most of their dogs are. Mm-hmm. That's why Dean is a special case because he had none of those issues whatsoever. So if they have a dog that has medical issues, they'll help pay the vet bills and stuff like that. Or if a dog that gets adopted needs medication, then they pay for that. they did tell me that we could continue like the Prozac and stuff like that with Dean. I'm like, I don't want to.
Right.
I want to see how he does, and I want to manage him with a routine and with training and obedience, and see how he does. And
Look at him.
this is what I'm getting. And I want to throw out a huge disclaimer. I am not a dog trainer by any means.
You are a
whatsoever.
dog person though, and that is like more than. And I don't mean that to sound like an insult. Like you are a dog person and you care. That is like more than anything above and beyond. I think a lot of people get dogs just because they want a dog
without knowing what it's going to entail.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to have. If you're going to get a dog, you can't just have a dog to have a dog. You have to want to care for them, train them, do everything for them. You can't just have them, no offense, pissing and shitting in your house and just doing whatever they want to do. Yeah. Like you need to take care of them. Like you have to support them. They need you,
Yeah, absolutely. I had to go out of town for work last week, and I took all 3 of them with me.
That's amazing. Wow.
Literally, I lived in a hotel with 3 dogs for a week.
Can we take our dogs with us next time?
No.
Not gonna lie, like it was a little tiring, but it was still good. The most tiring part of all of it right now is that for the most part, I am keeping Dean very separate from the other 2. So that's really I don't even want to say like tiring, but that's been, I guess, like the biggest chink in our schedule. But because I do stay so regimented and routine with my schedule that I have, it really hasn't been that hard. And in total, it's maybe added half an hour, maybe of my total day, to do things a little bit separately with him. And now I knew this was going to be a temporary road, but it's going to be a very long road. So it's just a process of doing things very slowly because now I can at least keep him on leash and take him out when I take the other ones out. So it's just it's baby steps.
Have you had any indicators that they won't work out together, or are they just, they're fine?
No, they'll be fine.
Yeah, good.
I did have, most of that is because I've put so much time into my dogs already.
Right.
The 2 that I had before. So like I said, I can just be like, nope. I don't have to be real hard or harsh with them or anything. I can just say nope, or go lay down, or go out. I don't have to be harsh with them or anything to keep them off leash while he's on. Now he's going to be on leash, for a very long time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't have, a lot of people are like, well, when are you going to let them play together? Or when are you going to take them off leash? Everybody's mind is blown by the fact that he has 3 collars.
So why? Give us a breakdown then.
But why? I mean, my mind isn't blown. Like I see that and I know like what each collar is for.
Well,
so
ours
like,
have multiple.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So go ahead, give the breakdown.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the biggest thing is they all have 2 collars, but you can't really see it on the other 2 because he has a very short coat. So they really stand out. But this collar here, I think you can kind of see it, the green, reflective collar. Those are my absolute favorite dog collars. Love them. They are from Outdoor Dog Supply.
Love them.
They have, they mostly cater to like hunting dogs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a friend who has a Great Pyrenees that like protects her farm and stuff like that. And so she has one of those collars for him. It's thick, it's bright, it's reflective. It doesn't stink like a nylon collar.
We love that.
Yeah. It's biosane. I can, wash it off with like soap and water. I can scrub on it. Like nothing comes off of it, but it's reflective. And then it also has a brass nameplate on it. You can get it without the nameplates, but I like that the brass nameplate is like right there on the collar.
Right.
So it's not jingling all the time. And then I don't know if you can see this one here. This one is the Phi GPS collar.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so anal retentive about that. Like all the time, my dogs do not walk out the door without that GPS collar on. And they keep it on in the house. They keep it on at all times. because I don't want to have to be putting a collar, on and off all the time, when I want my dogs to go outside. But also because I am anal retentive, like what would happen if like the door accidentally got left open or
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
like that?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like, I know that's not going to happen, but then in the
But
back
it
of my mind,
could. It could.
I'm still like, what would happen? Because
Right.
listen, they are still dogs.
Yes.
At the end of the day, they're still dogs.
Yes.
My only complaint, I love the 5-collar, and I'm not sponsored. I love the 5-collar so much, but the only thing I don't like about it is it has the clasp type buckle,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like those buckles. I like the belt loop kind of buckles. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. Other than that, love the collar, love the company. It's an awesome company to work with. So I have 3 of their collars now. You get a little subscription. You get an app on your phone. It is amazing. It tracks
We
their...
might have to get one because Abel likes to take off on us
Very.
nowadays.
Are they very accurate?
Yes.
They are extremely accurate.
Okay.
I had, when I first got Blake, and, we were still working on a lot of stuff, I had him outside one morning going to the bathroom. We were off leash. And when he turned around and went to come back to me, there were some deer that I didn't even see.
Oh, that's all it takes.
The recall was not happening. And he went off through the woods. He was gone. I could not, find where he went. I literally just turned on lost dog mode, and it took me to the exact location where he was at.
Wow.
We need to do that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing, amazing product. I think it's like waterproof and stuff too. And it has a really long battery life. But like I said, the only thing I don't like about it is that it's a clasp buckle.
Well, because those break easier, than the actual
and
buckle.
It can come apart and stuff like that. That's the only thing I don't like about it. And then the final collar is not a collar that stays on all the time, but it looks like it does because when I'm taking pictures and, stuff like that, it's the prong collar.
We love a prong collar. There's nothing wrong with the prong collar.
I love the prong collar. I love it so much. And now I'm not one of those that has to have like a specific kind of prong collar.
Mm-hmm.
Come at me if you will. I buy mine on Amazon or at the pet store.
Tractor Supply has them for like $12. I love it.
It's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool in your hand. So if you don't know how to use it, it's not going to matter if you buy the most expensive collar.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you.
You can buy the most expensive collar, and people say, well, it has sharp edges and it'll catch them and stuff like that. The prongs aren't sitting on their skin.
Thank you.
Like the prongs are not sitting on their skin. And if you're worried about that, they make caps that go on the end of the prong.
Well, if it's digging into their skin, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it right. Like you're doing it wrong.
And it drives me absolutely crazy when I see a person that has a prong collar, but they're still letting their dog like walk way out in front of them and
Choke
pull them out.
Yeah, yeah.
But the best thing about a prong collar is it puts now it puts absolutely no pressure on the dog's neck if you are not pulling on it. It puts an even amount of pressure when you check the dog, and it's meant to check and release because the dog learns from that release of pressure.
Does this sound familiar? Mm-hmm. I love this. This is like, she's like speaking my language. I love this. I love this so much.
I love the prong collars. I keep them on my other 2 when we go out and we do walks and stuff like that. And it makes it so much easier. Mm-hmm. I hate choke collars. Yep. Some people like them. The choke chains, I hate them.
Stupid.
They will literally choke your dog to death. Your dog will not learn anything from a choke collar because if your dog is pulling on the collar, you can't check it to release it. It just continues to tighten.
Correct.
So,
PSA people, quit buying choke chains. Quit buying the chains. Don't do it.
Quit buying choke chains. And martingale collars too. I'm not a fan of the martingale collars, and I'm not a fan of harnesses.
Why? Okay, so here's my thing with harnesses, and we are getting so way off topic, but I don't even care. But here's the thing about harnesses is they were designed for like sled dogs to pull. So when people put them on their dogs and they're walking with them and their dog's pulling and they're like, Fido, quit pulling me. And it's like, It is meant
what
for
they're
them to
designed to do.
pull.
If your dog isn't properly trained before you put a harness on them,
Right.
then you are teaching your dog to pull.
Like it's comfortable for them to keep pulling. And retractable leashes. Why do I mean?
Don't.
If you put them on a retractable leash because they have to go potty and like you live in an apartment building, sure, whatever. Like if that's like what you got to do to let them go potty, sure, whatever. That's fine. If that's the only way. Do not walk your dog on a retractable leash. If you walk your dog on a retractable leash, you're an idiot. And I'm going to look at you like you're an idiot when I'm walking past you. Buy a leather leash or some sort of leash that isn't some crappy whatever they're going to chew through or it's going to tear or it's going to break or something. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need more than 4 feet.
Yeah. I use tabs. I use like little tabs because I don't even walk my golden on the leash. Like we put him on a tab, a leather tab that's attached to his collar, so that when like kids walk by or whatever, or people walk by and they like give us a dirty look if he's not on a leash. Like I grab the tab and I'm like, look, he's on a leash. Like look at him, he's on a leash, but he's not.
So I actually, when I have Dean in the house. And when I'm, like when I have him outside when we're going to the bathroom and stuff like that. So this is actually a horse lead.
Okay. But it's longer.
I think it's like a 10 or 12 foot lead or something like that. And then I have it tied back. So I have this little, so I can make it longer or I can make it shorter, but I have this like slip loop on the end of it. And that's like where my handle is. But when you keep them on a longer leash in the house, it makes for quicker corrections because, if I'm sitting here and he's in his place on the other side of the couch, if he gets up and goes to move, I need to be able to get up and correct him quickly and put him back in his place. So the only free time that Dean gets on a leash is when he is going pee or when he's going poop. So when we go out and we go to the bathroom, he gets to walk where and how he wants to when he's on his leash. And then as soon as he's done going to the bathroom, he comes back to me. 4 feet. That's all you need.
I like it.
That's awesome.
I like it. But harnesses are like the world's worst thing. Why a harness other than for sled dogs was ever created to be put on a dog is beyond me. I don't understand it. It drives me nuts. It should not be allowed.
Somebody wanted that at some point.
Yes. Yes.
If
it's
you
so
put a
true.
harness on your dog and it's healing by your side, I totally respect you.
Sure, yeah, then you did something right, and for whatever. But at that point, I'm like, then why do you have a harness on your dog? Like you could literally. Like you could have just.
What about the dental leaders?
Oh, why? Like, what are you doing? Why do you have that around your dog's mouth? Like, yeah, you're just like yanking. Like, it's gonna have like a pain in its neck. Like, it's gonna be like, like it's just gonna hurt. It's so stupid. Like, what's the guy that you and I both follow that I always say is amazing? Sit on Command or something from Pittsburgh.
Oh, it once.
What is it? Say it once. Say it once. This guy. Everything that he does, I'm like, yes. Like, there's a few things I'm kind of like, I probably wouldn't do it that way, but like, I'm way out of the game. So like, maybe things have like come a long way.
Dog training. He's out of Pittsburgh.
He's amazing.
If you see this or if you listen to this, follow me because I love you because you're amazing. I love what you have to say.
He is so
follow Marcus and Allison. He's no bullshit.
That's my thing is like, even if there's certain things that like I disagree with him on, like I've watched some of his videos. I'm like, I probably wouldn't do it that way, but that's cool. Like we don't have to agree on every single thing that we do. But I love the fact that he is zero bullshit on every single thing that he does. And I'm like, that's cool. You are just like, this is the only way we're going to do it. And when you're training your people, this is how we're going to do it. And the dog, there's no like ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what we're doing, dog. Like this is it.
Your people.
Yes. Because you're training the people. You're not training. The dog is easy. It's the people that are the hard ones to train.
Yeah.
Like training Marcus when he first moved in. Because I had to train you to train the dogs, right?
Yeah.
But it's all right.
Yeah,
I'm out of my prong collar.
I love following him. I wish he knew who I was. He posted a thing earlier about, did you see like the slow-mo challenge?
I didn't see that one.
So he posted a thing where like you're basically supposed to be able to like snail walk with your dog like healing. like basically
Oh.
like this teeny, tiny step at a time.
We're going to
And
try
so,
that.
yeah, so I responded to him. So I'm hoping that I responded.
We're just
That's what I posted in my story.
we're gonna keep shouting him out like, hey man, like
Yeah,
so one day you're gonna follow us because this dude he's like Instagram famous for like the Pittsburgh area. Like yeah. We're
I mean,
nobodies.
I would say he's Instagram famous, like anyway.
Dean's like practically Instagram famous at this point. Like he's starting to get there. What do you have like I don't know, like 3 billion followers now? Like I don't know.
This morning I looked and it was like 903.
That's amazing.
Before I blocked a couple of old
Creepers.
fan accounts.
That's awesome.
That's amazing though. That's amazing.
I'm thrilled. Listen, when I started this, I was like, yeah, we need to like, share this dog and like what he's been through and his progress and the road that he's going down and stuff like that. I was like, we really need to share this dog. And that's what it's all about to me. It is just the dog. Like I'm not on social media for me. Like
Right.
I don't care how I look when I'm on his
Right.
page or it's about him and I want people to see this. Like I want people to see that. I mean, this dog, I can't say it enough. He was about to be euthanized because he was having issues. And it wasn't, his handler did the best thing for him, by turning him over to Project Canine Hero, by reaching out to Jason. And unfortunately, that probably happens a lot more than anybody realizes. But
Yeah.
I was just like, we absolutely have to bring attention to this. So this is about the dog. And then, people were like, oh, we want to see your other dogs. We want to, we want you to include them. They're part of the pack. And like, it just started blowing up and I couldn't believe it.
That's amazing though. Like I'm so happy for you. Like that is so awesome.
We do have a link tree that has an Amazon wish list and stuff like that. And I was like, nothing's going to happen with this. Like nothing's going to happen with it. And we got so many gifts from so many wonderful people. I mean, like I came home one day and I just had like packages, like Amazon was probably like.
That's amazing.
It's been awesome. It's been really awesome, and it's about the dog. I say it all the time, and I kind of feel like a broken record, but I really am just astounded at the following that we have gotten already, and just the love and support. And I mean, my followers are so awesome, and they're really dedicated to seeing him through. Shout out to Police Canine Association.
Look at that.
Oh, look at this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Nice plug. Way to sneak it in there.
Yeah.
So
Eric's one of the ones that helped me with London.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they were one of the ones that I started like kind of volunteering for.
Okay. That's really
So
cool.
Nice.
I was doing some like photography and stuff for them, and I don't even remember how I found out about them, but I was doing some photography for my local PDs and SDs and stuff like that, and then I think this was back when I did many years ago when I did still have social media, and Facebook was the thing, and
You weren't missing out on much, so it's fine.
Yeah, but so I was just kind of like reaching out to people, like, hey, can I take pictures of your dog?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then they invited me to come do some training stuff, and I went to one of their, their like evening for the canine events and stuff like that, and so that was really awesome. But yeah, when I was so like I said, I'm not a dog trainer by any means, so I still reach out. Like I reach out when I need help, and that's the best thing that anybody can do. You can't nobody can do it all.
But you've learned a lot though, because you've been around a lot of different people. So you've been able to kind of like take bits and pieces from everyone that you've been, around. So though you're not an official dog trainer, I think you're very knowledgeable, and you're in, the veterinary field as a vet tech. So you do know animal behavior. I mean, don't take that for granted. I mean, a lot of people don't understand animal behavior in general. They just like, I'm just going to get this dog because it looks cool. So going back to that stupid thing where people are like, I'm just going to get a dog and not do anything with it. But animal behavior. So then take that and compound it with your involvement with all these other organizations. And don't discount yourself for the fact that though you might not be a quote unquote dog trainer, you have a lot of knowledge. And even just having a conversation with you, I'm like, her and I could talk for like hours. Like, I know that we could just go back and forth about like dog training stuff for hours because I have so many things I could say about it. But if anyone would like, we kind of got off track because that's our typical speed of how we do things. We do it with everything that we do. So like so you got hooked up with Dean, you went to Chattanooga. And then what happened once you got to Chattanooga? Like, how did this process with you and Dean go?
I went up on Labor Day.
Okay.
And originally, Jason had told me that Dean wasn't really going to be quite ready until like the end of September. And then he kind of like reached back out to me and he's like, hey, I really think that Dean needs to get in a home. I really think that it would be best for Dean to go ahead and get in a home. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And so he invited me up to the Project Canine Hero Rehabilitation Facility. And I met with him and a couple of the other folks that were up there. And then he just, we kind of wanted to just do a meet and greet. And it was basically, if everything went well, then I could, take Dean home and see how things went. So I went up there, met with everyone. We got Dean out. He introduced me to Dean. He kind of played with Dean a little bit, and then he had me play with Dean, which was basically, so Dean, he likes the ball, but he has this like chunk of hose, that he likes to play with. Every dog has their own thing. Some dogs have tennis balls, some dogs have Kongs. He has this hose that he likes to chase. So without having like a lot of obedience or anything like that, I just went out there and I just like threw this hose across the field, and so, he kind of had to like come back and like pay attention to me and stuff like that. And then we just kind of like went for a walk around the property and Jason had me walking him and he had me groom him a little bit. So I think there's some pictures from when I, first got him, like way back on my Instagram where I'm grooming him and I like first brought him home and he still had his muzzle on and everything. And I do still put his muzzle on him sometimes. Sometimes that's the best thing for a dog. Especially just because it makes it a lot safer for everyone. But I was still keeping him muzzled, a little bit here and there when I first brought him home. But so Jason just had me, do a little bit of grooming, do a little bit of playing, do a little bit of, walking and stuff like that. And, we just talked a lot and, they were comfortable with me going ahead and going home with them. And
here we are.
Now here we are.
Do you think that, because this isn't like my belief, do you think that, let me backtrack. I think a lot of dogs, because when it comes like the biting and I think a lot of dogs bite out of fear or getting their toes broken or, whatever the situation might stipulate. Like there's some cause for the biting. I think there's always a reason for it. Do you think a lot of it was your confidence going into it? Like dogs they feed off of our behavior, our anxiety, our confidence, our whatever. And like whenever my mom is the perfect example, and we always throw her under the bus because she never listens to this podcast, so it's fine. But when I would train my mom's dogs, the last dog that they had, God, may she rest in peace, that she passed away a couple years ago. But this dog, she would always lunge at other dogs and go to bite. Now, Sophie was obediently, like in obedience school,
before you even finish your story, I would say that your mom was probably a little more timid and the dog was feeling like she was protecting her.
My mom was anxiety ridden. And so when I would walk Sophie had zero issues. Sophie was fine. Yep. We'd walk. There was zero issues. My mom would walk her and Sophie was like a hyena on the leash. Yep. And I'm like, Mom, it is literally riding down the leash. Like she can read all your anxiety that you have when you're walking her, that you think she's going to bite someone. And so she doesn't read that as like she reads it as anxiety. And so she's going to do whatever behavior because of that. Do you think Dean responded so well to you because you had such confidence because you've dealt with other dogs before?
Absolutely.
I mean,
not to sound like cocky or anything,
That's
but
not
absolutely,
cocky.
You can't take in a dog like this and not be confident in how to handle him.
Absolutely.
Rightly so. Jason wouldn't have adopted him out to me
Yeah.
if he, didn't think that I could handle the dog, but he was the one that, wanted to pair me up with him.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yes, absolutely. Dogs can sense that 100%.
So these
100%.
dogs,
They smell it. They smell it. They sense it with your
Mhm.
body language. And actually, Vinny had I think I shared something a while back where, if you don't, position yourself just right, if you don't have the confidence, if you don't, your dog will feel the need to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where a lot of that lunging and sometimes seemingly aggressive behaviors
Right.
come in at, because you aren't, you're not a leader.
You're causing it. Like the humans are causing it. Like we are imparting bad behaviors on our own dogs, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, you're the issue. That's why I always want to tell you can't. That's not good selling technique when you're dog training. Like, you can't be like, you're the problem.
So dogs really like to be
with training horses all the time too. Riding horses, training horses. You see it all the time.
Right.
And it's one of those things where like somebody gets bucked off, and the old saying is, you got to get back on. Well, I mean, that's the same basic principle.
Right.
I mean, really, it is. Now,
Look at his
so
feet. He's dreaming.
He's so stinking cute. I love him.
Right now. He's like kicking. I don't know if you
Yeah, we
can
can
see
see his
him.
feet. He's twitching.
He's just so happy. And like, that's my thing is like, I'm not trying to be like this, oh, I just love dogs and I don't know anything about dogs. Like, I'm looking at this dog and I don't even know you or this dog that well, but from what I've seen on Instagram, I'm like, this dog is so happy. He's a different dog, even from day one. He's a different dog.
Absolutely.
You know?
He is a completely different dog. Now it does help that he bonded to me very quickly, but he's a completely different dog than the dog I met. But
because of you. Because of what you've done.
I knew he had potential. So it's basically just coming out what I knew was already in him. Now, his handler, the one that, got in touch with Jason, he absolutely loved him. He loved the dog.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he couldn't take the dog. He had small kids at home, and so that just wasn't going to be a conducive environment to rehab a dog with some, aggression. I say that lightly, some aggression issues.
Right.
So that, he did what was absolutely best for Dean in, taking him, reaching out to Project Canine Hero. Because Dean, even since I've had him home, he's definitely not the type of dog that should be around kids. And, you see that with a lot of working dogs. A lot of it can be, worked out of them, because a lot of it is worked into them.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is, in the long road, he'll be just fine. But, it's not, I would have never gotten as far with him as I have if I had those distractions and those things around him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I had London, my Malinois, she was scared to death of men. She was abused pretty severely. She's, to me, I think her story is a little bit more sad than Dean's.
Do you want to share? Would you like to share?
She was found wandering the streets of Atlanta.
Okay.
She was starved, emaciated. You could see all her ribs. She was, real gaunted up,
my gosh.
in the face and everything. She had a urinary tract infection. She had kennel cough from ending up at the shelter, and she was heartworm positive.
Aww.
Yeah. So I did not, I went in totally blind with her. I happened to see her like in an advertisement for the shelter or something like that. And I just saw this like adorable little, not little, but this big black smiling face and this big smile. And so I just went to like look at her.
And then you came home with her.
That's all it takes. That's all.
So look at her.
You were a sucker for the ad is what happened. They were like, we're going to get somebody on this.
I was actually wanting to get either a German or a Belgian puppy, before Blake got too much older, because he's such a good dog. And I truly do believe that dogs imprint on other dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's helped Dean too, because, my other dogs are just, I've worked really hard with them, but they're really well behaved. So I was really wanting to get a puppy. And I came across her.
And how old was
So-
she?
I'm sorry?
How old was she?
7-ish.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we don't really quite know her age, but she is a little bit older. Didn't really, I didn't know her history. I didn't know anything about her, unlike Dean. That's why I say, like, it's actually, I don't want to say it's been easy, because I don't want to, like, diminish, that, but, I had absolutely no clue, whatever. She was just a complete basket case from, like, all the abuse and being a Malinois and just,
Malinois are crazy for those that don't know. That they're just
just being batshit crazy to begin with.
Yeah, yes. Yes, they're not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I struggled a lot with her. So I worked some with a local trainer, and I worked, I went to Eric for a lot of advice and stuff like that, at Van Ness Canine Academy. And, she was, a handful. She's still kind of a handful sometimes, but it's always a process. I don't remember how we started talking about her.
I don't remember how we
I
got
don't
to her
know.
either, but that's
We
okay.
just got
That's okay.
strung off.
That's okay. That's our life. That's what we do.
At this point, but
Yeah.
so she was very scared of men. She doesn't like a lot of attention. Oh my God, Vinny just responded to me.
Yay!
Got a notification.
Yeah, it was good karma for being on here and talking about it.
I'm girling over here. Now I can't wait to see what he had to say.
That was like when Andy Stumpf responded to us, and he
Yes.
was like, basically like, what?
What?
Like,
What do you
it was
want
like
from me?
nothing.
Leave me
Like, it
alone.
was, like, leave me alone. And we were like, I was like fangirl. I'm like, oh my God, Andy Stumpf like finally responded. It was like nothing. Do you know who Andy Stumpf
I'm
is?
like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was like fangirling. I'm like, he was like, leave me alone. Like, he probably blocked us.
I got shit to do.
So London, she was very scared of men. She's very timid in general, and she didn't, she's not that, like, because I think because of all the abuse and everything she went through, she's not that typical, like, Malligator, like, I'll F you up, like.
Right.
You can say the whole word on here,
Yeah,
by the way.
you can say fuck. It's fine. We like the word fuck. We love the word.
Well, that's like my favorite word. But,
It's our favorite word too. It's fine.
Okay.
We're explicit. It's good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had a lot of struggles with her, a lot, and she doesn't necessarily want a lot of attention, like, or anything like that. Like, Blake wants all the attention, so it's like, so it kind of like takes it off her. But she doesn't really like strangers coming up to her. But she's within the last like 6 months or so. I was like out front talking to my landscaper one day and had them off leash. And she literally just walked right up to this stranger that she'd never seen before and stuck her nose in his hand.
Oh my
And
God.
he like let him pet her. And
Good.
but the biggest thing was we go to the pet store to get baths and stuff like that, because they have a little bathing station and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And there was a family that came in with some special needs kids, and one of the kids was in a wheelchair, and he was like non-communicative. But the other girl was, she was still special needs, but she was very talkative, and she saw me giving Blake and London baths, and she was talking to me, and she wanted to know about the dogs. And she was just absolutely infatuated with them. And London kind of, like, while they were still in their little, like, cage area, she was, like, outside of it. And London kind of just, like, walked up to this little girl and, like, let her pet her and stuff like that.
Good.
So when I exited the bathing area with them on leash, the little girl was still talking to me. She was talking about the dogs. Like, she was just infatuated with them. And I
Good.
had Blake and London sitting there, and she just sat right next to London and was like laying all over her and like
That's
loving her.
awesome.
petting on her.
That is.
And I was just like, oh my God, I wish I had something to give you. 'Cause you're so I got to get merch for these guys, but you know, we're still working on.
Well, let me know when you get merch. We'll buy some merch.
We'll be there. Absolutely.
I got the wheels turning, but that it might still be a while.
We'll definitely we'll sport your merch on our podcast with our few listeners that we have, and we'll throw it out there so people can buy the merch.
Well, to start, where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's Retired Canine Dean on Instagram, and that's the only platform that we have. We don't do any other social media. We don't have Facebook. We don't have, you know, whatever. We don't have Twitter. I don't even know what else is out there, but we just have Instagram. So it's retired_canine, the letter K, the number 9 _ Dean, DEAN. But I think if you just look up Retired Canine Dean,
it should
I
pop
think
up.
it'll come
Yeah,
up.
it should pop up. Yeah.
Right now, half of his profile picture is the Atlanta Braves. Go Braves! Let's win this fucking World Series.
Are you going to any games this year?
Don't Atlanta it up at the end of the year. At the end of the oh God, our teams.
Are you going to go to any games, or are you just watching on TV?
Well, I actually don't have TV, so I'm just like.
Good for you.
That is amazing. I love it. I'm
just following on social media because the World Series games are way too late to go out and participate. I'm in bed about 15 minutes.
Hey, that's fine. We'll get you in bed on time because we were wrapping it up, so that's fine. We'll make sure we get you to bed.
Almost 2 hours now, man. I know. Can talk long.
Listen,
I can talk long. I was like, man, what do you want to talk about? But
we'll have you on anytime that we want, or anytime that you want, because we'll have you on anytime. But so they can find you on Instagram, and then it was projectcaninehero.org was the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So Project Canine Hero has its own Instagram page, and they have all the social media platforms, weekly.
Yes.
They're a 501(c)(3) complete nonprofit organization. So literally everything they do is from donations to their organization. So basically donors are caring for these dogs. And so they have Instagram. I'm sure they have Facebook. I'm sure they have Twitter. But it is Project Canine, the letter K, number 9, hero.org. But I also have their Instagram linked in my bio.
Yeah, we'll link everything in this episode so everyone can get to your Instagram, their website, everything. And
and then he also has a link tree in his bio with an Amazon wish list and all kinds of stuff. If I'm not asking for donations in any means, in any way, shape, or form. I would not have taken on this dog if I did not have the means to do so. So there was a little bit of confusion on that at first when I, first adopted him and started this page. But I wanted, people love giving gifts. I mean, I donate to things when I can, but not everybody has the same way to be able to donate. So we have gifts on our wish list. So we have all kinds of stuff. I mean, anything and everything. And, our followers wanted to see Blake and London included too. So, I mean, we have, gift cards are always nice. They're super easy because we can take them to the pet store, Tractor Supply, or stuff like that. But we have, different gift cards on there. We have dog food and just, necessities and stuff like that just come over the course of, having a dog. But
absolutely,
we are not asking for donations in any way, shape, or form. But people like to be able to give back in their own way.
Well, we'll definitely link the link tree if my blonde self can figure out how to add that into the.
If you add our if you just add our Instagram, it's in our bio.
Yeah, but if I can if I'm smart enough, I'll link everything if I can. If I'm smart enough to do everything like that, I'll link it all in there. But it was so amazing to finally talk to you, not over Instagram.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Talk too much, Marcus.
Yeah, yeah. Finally,
I'm just here.
It's not just me, so it's part him too. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being our first guest.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting Dean.
Thank you, Dean. We love you, Dean. I love him.
He's such a good looking boy.
He's so cute.
This is what I'm here for. So we're here for him. So that's what it's all about.
We're here for him too. So we love you, but we love the dog too. So it's fine. Well, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. You get to bed because it's close to your bedtime. We don't want to keep you up past your bedtime.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
we'll go to bed and thank you again. We'll keep in touch and hopefully we'll have you on another time soon. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Well,
that was awesome.
That was a good
if
time.
I can figure out how to hang up from this now too.
There she goes. I think she figured it out.
I think she figured it out too. That was awesome.
That was very cool. And we'll try and get all that video and stuff put in there.
Yeah.
But that dog. From what you got from the conversation and then what you see of that dog, it was amazing.
It was amazing. And so I definitely am going to try my best. I'll work with her before we post this thing of we'll getting some pictures of Dean and what she wants posted to kind of promote this episode and things like that. Because to me,
he's a very good looking boy.
He's a very good looking boy. And she's the sweetest. I mean,
absolutely.
And I could tell it because she wasn't lying when she said I forget what part of the episode she was talking about. When I sent that first first message to her, and I was like, I swear I'm not a creep. I didn't want her to think I was some weirdo. Reaching out to her.
Right.
And then her and I started this weird Instagram friendship. I'm not saying her and I are BFFs. I'm not saying her and I talk all the time, but just going back and forth,
no, absolutely.
every once in a while.
Well, she's a very genuine person, and that was nice to have for our first guest. So hopefully.
But did you hear what? Remember when I kept telling you, the girl from Project K9, Dean, she keeps messaging me before, and I said she's so genuine, she's so sweet.
Good organization. Now I will say, from what I understood from it, what she explained, we obviously haven't looked into it or anything. That's not. You're not going to the kennel and picking out a rescue dog.
No, you're applying.
And I don't say that to discourage people, but I do say that to get people to understand what they're taking on.
Right.
It's not. It's going to be a task. It's not going to be easy. But what a phenomenal program to have.
So I think that's the thing to keep in mind. Abel's whining. We can let him in. Come on, buddy. We'll let our other canine.
You were talking
just close
to
the
a
door
dog.
because it's gonna echo if he. Toby, come on in. We're gonna let our canines in while we finish. Toby, come on. Come on, Toby.
They're getting antsy now.
We'll let them both out. Then leave Toby out there too. That's fine.
Bye.
But I think that's the important thing to kind of get from this episode is here the cat came in.
I know. Everybody's in here.
He wants to be a dog too. I think that's the important thing for the third time that I'm repeating this to get out of this episode is how amazing Dean is, how amazing Jena is, how amazing those two are together.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that is the norm. I think that's the norm for Project K9 Hero because they do a good job placing dogs with people.
Right.
But you can't just be the average person walking in to just expect a great dog to come out of it. I think all the dogs through Project K9 Hero are great dogs. But I think it's a matter of being placed with the right person and having that right person being willing to train and work hard with those dogs.
The time and the effort to...
Correct. Yes. And as you can see just from the way she talks about him, the way she loves on him while she's having a conversation, she is focused on us and she's focused on having a conversation with us, but she is more focused on that dog, and I love that.
It was funny because she was like, he's never been on a couch before.
But
he was on the couch. He was hanging out. Yeah. So That was awesome.
I'm telling you, and I mentioned this to my mom earlier. I keep shouting at my mom. My mom doesn't even listen to these goddamn episodes. Whatever. It's fine. I don't have any, no issues. Whatever, Mom. You don't have to listen to the episodes. That's fine.
I have no issues, Mom.
Fine. It's fine. But anyways, I told you, and I told her, because she was asking me what we were doing tonight. And I said, we're recording our first real guest. Sorry, Sarah. Real guest.
You keep emphasizing that.
I'm just trying to give Sarah a hard time because I know that Sarah listens. And so I just know that she's going to give me shit when she listens to this because we love you, Sarah, but it's fine. My mom said, what are you doing tonight? And I said, told her we're recording with, Jena from Project. Well, not from. I know, not
that was
from,
my bad.
but adopted, however you want to consider it, from Project K9 Hero. She is K9 Dean, retired K9 Dean. And she was like, oh, that's super cool, whatever. And I told her, I said, I would love if one day you and I could do something like that. I know right now with our dogs, we can't.
And just
with
the amount of time and effort, and because you don't want to short shuck that animal.
No, I don't want to stick them in a cage all day. Like I want to be able to dedicate that time and effort and do.
Well, and where we're at, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where we're at, right, they would be in a cage a lot. And that's just not fair.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like later in life, I would love if we're in a position that we're able to dedicate that amount of time to give that dog care. I know, I know I've trained you well when it comes to dogs. I know myself that I could do the right things by that dog when it comes to the training and the discipline and all the things that are necessary to get that dog through that hump of getting from that work mode to let's be a dog and live at home. Yeah. And I wasn't trying to discourage her from doing like narcotics work or anything with the dog. Like if that's what works for Dean in the future. But to me, I'm looking at this dog going, I think this dog just loves being a house dog now.
It seems like he's in.
I think he had a lot of
his
the
element.
way I'm looking. I don't know the dog. We know.
And we're not there. Yeah, we're not there 24/7.
They're in Georgia. So, and we're up here in Ohio.
100%. But I'm watching him,
talking to her from what I've seen, following them over the last couple months. I think what I would assume from his experience is that and because of the biting that has happened that deemed him to be euthanized, I would think because most dogs associate negative experiences, which cause them to have the bad behaviors that they tend to have.
Right.
I think he might have had some negative experiences associated with his work. And now she's given him such a positive, good life.
You know what was cool, though? Is that his handler.
Oh, this is not a knock on his handler.
No.
Yeah, this is not
I'm just saying it's cool that even though he was, because it's above him, right?
And it's not a knock on Border Patrol or anything like that.
No. But it was cool that even, because it's beyond him, where they say, look, that dog can't be.
Right. Absolutely.
But he was like, look, I still love this dog. I'm going to
do the best by him and give him,
for lack of a better term, hand deliver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Him to you. And that's cool. That's awesome.
I think, honestly, I know this sounds really kind of lame, whatever, and believe in whatever religion you want to, but I think this dog was meant for her.
Oh, absolutely.
I think this dog.
Again, I don't, if you could have seen what we saw on the video call.
Yeah.
You would look at that and go,
they were meant to be together.
There's no issues. There's no issues with her. There's no issues with that dog.
But she's put a lot of work into him, so let's give her credit.
No, 100%. I'm just saying at face value.
I think they were created to be together.
100%.
At this point in their life, whatever life brought her to this point and whatever life brought him to this point, I think those two were meant to be together.
You know what that reminds me of?
Us.
You and I.
I knew you were going to say that.
I want my brownie points.
Do you know what we're going to go do now?
We're about to go smash some pasta.
Some homemade pasta, because we already smashed the homemade bread before this episode because we were hungry before we recorded.
With the oil and herb dip.
Yeah, the fancy shit before we started
all right,
recording.
I'm done talking. Nope, enough.
But wait. You said I was
going
to make a separate thing for my recipe, so I'm going to say what I'm making. Oh, you just took your headphones off.
I know. I just had to adjust my hat.
Oh my God. So what am I making?
I'm
Do
back.
You remember?
Tonight?
Yeah.
Pasta.
I'm making butternut squash carbonara. I couldn't even remember. I don't remember how to exactly make it. I know I have to. I roasted butternut squash this morning. Oh, and I roasted prosciutto with cayenne pepper, honey, and rosemary on it, so we can sprinkle it on top.
Look,
it's fucking amazing, people.
Your boy's about to be fat.
I'm about to get.
What it comes down to.
Listen, I wear leggings tonight just so that when we eat all this pasta.
Oh, I did too.
I can expand and it won't hurt.
I'm definitely rocking some yoga pants right now because I'm trying to
He is
have
like
room for
closing
expansion.
everything up and like ready to go.
I'm out.
I
It's
think
been real,
I think
people.
he has to pee too. So, well, I am just like so excited about this episode. I can't wait for it to
Me
come
too.
out.
So go check them out.
Please go to Project K as in King, 9 is the number 9. Hero, the word hero.org. Support Project K9 Hero.org. Support Project K9 Hero, period. Follow them on whatever social media platforms
And
they have.
Dean.
I was getting there.
Oh, shit.
But I know Project K9 Hero has Instagram because we follow them on Instagram. And please, for the love of God, go follow Retired K9 Dean on Instagram. They're on our page. You can, if you can't find them, you can type in Retired K9 Dean.
Yes, you can come to our page and go find them. Yes.
He's on our page. We follow him. We'll link everything in
Go
this
check him
episode. Go check him out. We'll look at her videos.
You know what
she
else?
does lives.
I like.
Go buy them treats. Send the dogs treats.
Here's another thing I
What?
like that we didn't get. We never even got close to touching on it.
What?
She screams America.
Oh, she does scream America. I told you that before. When I
You
gave
did.
you the little bio about her, I said, fuck yeah, America. I said, she's a Air Force vet. I said,
She's
and she
wearing
has
guns
blue
on her
hair.
hips.
She had guns on her hips,
Yep.
and she has tattoos. I said, fuck yeah, America. I said, we're going to love her.
We're all about it.
And we love her already.
So it's a good time.
She's a friend now. We like her.
She is.
She's a friend of the Knock and Talk show. But she's going to be better friends with me than you because it's a competition.
You know what I'm about to be a friend of?
Pasta.
This pasta. So on that
All
note,
right. Well,
thank you.
I guess we'll talk to you later, guys, because we're going to go smash some pasta.
I'm about to hit the mute button. See ya
Okay,
later.
bye.